When I returned home for the first time in 6 months, my father spoke with an intense tone.
You! Weren't you alone?
My father looks from me to my husband with angry eyes. In my memories, my father was always gentle and mild-mannered. I had never felt such horror from my father before. Dad, what on earth happened? I came back after such a long time, and this is how you react? I wonder why he's so angry. Amidst the various questions that arose, my father slowly approached me and looked me in the eye.
Divorce that man right now.
Eh? Dad?
Please, just do it. Divorce him.
My father's face seemed somewhat sad. At that moment, I had no idea that behind my father's words, there was a surprising truth hidden. My name is Natalie Engel, and I'm 28 years old. After graduating from university, I work at an advertising agency. During my student years, I wasn't very interested in romance. I was dedicated to studying and club activities. However, when I became a working adult, a friend invited me to a blind date at the age of 26, where I had a fateful encounter. It was then that I met Ricky, who was the same age as me. He worked for a very ordinary company, and his annual income was quite average. However, I was drawn to his personality, which was exceptionally kind and accepting of every aspect of me. We exchanged contact information, started going out regularly, and after a year of dating, he proposed. I happily accepted the proposal, and we became a married couple. The other day, it had been exactly half a year since we got married. Even after transitioning from boyfriend to husband, Ricky hasn't changed. He still listens to my stories attentively and treats me kindly, just like during our dating days. However, recently, I've been troubled by something concerning my husband. It's the fact that his job has become so busy that we can't spend much time together as a married couple. During our dating and early marriage days, he used to finish work promptly and come straight home. Although there were occasional work-related events or drinking parties, he always informed me in advance, so I never felt anxious. But recently, there have been times when he returned home late without any communication, and I don't understand the reasons. Just the other day, he came home past midnight without any notice, leaving me, who had prepared dinner and waited, feeling ignored. As this has been going on for a while now, I found myself reacting harshly to him. Hey, isn't it a bit too late? I sent you messages, and you didn't reply. I was worried, you know. Confronted by me, my husband openly wore a visibly annoyed expression and let out a heavy sigh. Sitting himself heavily on the sofa, he lazily uttered,
Sorry, but I was busy with overtime. Can't you understand that I was working?
But if it's overtime, you could at least send a quick message. I thought you would come home like usual, so I was waiting for dinner.
You think I had time to send a message? I was too busy. Maybe your workplace doesn't have much overtime, so you can't understand my situation.
Why are you talking like that? I just wanted to bare minimum, a little communication.
Were you always this troublesome? I thought you were more understanding.
But, overwhelmed by shock, I couldn't say anything more. My husband let out another big sigh and left the living room. As he left, he casually mentioned sleeping separately for a while. And with a slamming of the door, the tense air in the room dissipated. I never imagined my usually gentle husband would use such distancing words. Why? Why would he say something like that? We promised each other before marriage that if there's anything on our minds, we'd talk about it. I just wanted to improve our relationship as a married couple. Why did it have to come to this? Holding back the welling tears, I desperately headed to the bedroom. From that day on, my husband never slept in the same bed. On one particular day, Ricky was absent as he went camping with colleagues on a Saturday. While watching a drama alone at home, my phone rang with the sound of a message. Seeing the words "Mom" on the screen, I felt my heart skip a beat at the long-awaited contact from my mother. "Hello, Mom?" "Natalie, it's been a while. How are you?" "I'm good. It's nice to hear that you're doing well too, Mom." "I'm still going strong. I'm glad to hear things are going smoothly for you, Natalie. Are you alone today? Is Ricky not there?" "Oh yeah, Ricky is, off camping with some colleagues, and he won't be back until tomorrow."
"Oh, is that so? Must be lonely for you."
When my mother said that, she followed up by saying,
"But taking a break is necessary."
As though supporting my husband. I was going to discuss my relationship with my husband, but I felt a little uncomfortable. Perhaps, sensing something different, my mother expressed concern and gently inquired about it.
"Natalie, is something wrong?"
"Huh? Why do you ask?"
"I just felt like you weren't yourself. If there is nothing, that's fine. But if something's bothering you, I'm here to listen."
"Mom." My mother's kind words almost make me cry. Feeling the limits of carrying the burden alone, I decided to confide in my mother about recent events. Talking to people makes me keenly aware of my own issues. While I spoke, my mother kindly nodded and listened. After finishing telling everything, my mother softly murmured,
"So that's how it was."
Seeing me fall silent, my mother gently said,
"Natalie, if it gets too tough, you can always come back home, But since you're a couple, I also think it's important to have a solid conversation with Ricky."
"Yeah, you're right. I understand. But Ricky doesn't want to talk to me."
"If you decide on a date in advance for a serious talk, it might be better."
"A serious talk? A scheduled time?"
"Exactly. Your father and I had many clashes, and we resolved them through numerous conversations. It's not about forcing a solution. It's about compromising and working things out to the extent both can manage. That's the key to maintaining a marriage."
My mother's words startled me. I realized there is no need to force a resolution to marital problems. It's about discussing and compromising until both parties are satisfied. As soon as I understood that, my heart felt significantly lighter. "Mom, thank you. I will try talking with Ricky once."
"Yes, I think that's a good idea. You both are good kids, and you can work things out through conversation."
"Yeah, that's true. I'm really grateful I talked to you, Mom."
"Your father is also concerned about you, so come and visit us occasionally, okay?"
"Of course. I will come back when the timing is right." After ending the call with my mother, I sent a message to my husband. "I want to have a proper conversation at once." The reply came the next day, agreeing to talk once he returned from the camping trip. The next day, as I prepared dinner, my husband returned from the camping trip. We had dinner together, took turns taking baths, and when I emerged from the bath, he was engrossed in a video game in the living room. When I asked if we were going to talk, he left a small sigh, clicked his tongue, and turned off the game.
"So, what's there to talk about?" We don't need to have some serious conversation, do we?
While fiddling with his phone, Ricky opened his mouth without looking at my face. Irritated by his attitude, I took his phone away.
What the heck?
Why are you messing with your phone when we were supposed to talk? Do you have any idea how I felt waiting for you?
It's probably some nonsense about me coming home late, right? Sorry, but talking won't make me come home any earlier.
I'm not trying to say that. I just want you to communicate properly with me. I want to spend some weekends going out together occasionally.
So it's about that after all. Basically, you want me to set aside more time for you, right?
No, that's not what I'm saying. Desperately pleading, I found that my husband had no intention of listening. On the contrary, he visibly became more upset, glaring at me intensely. In the end, that day, the conversation went nowhere, and we reluctantly went to bed in the heavy atmosphere. My heart was on the verge of collapse. A month later, on this day, it was the anniversary of my grandfather's death, so I had to return to my parents' house for the first time in 6 months. Since that day, there had been no improvement in my relationship with my husband, and the car ride was filled with an awkward silence. Despite seeking advice from my mother, nothing had been resolved, and I felt a slight sense of guilt. With a heavy heart, I pressed the intercom button at my parents' house. The door opened, and it was my father who greeted me, not my mother. "Dad, it's been a while." Despite my cheerful greeting, my father just muttered softly. Normally, he would respond with a happy smile, but this time it was absent. "Dad, is something bothering you?" As I pondered this, my father continued to speak.
You want a loan?
Despite returning home for the first time in 6 months, my father's demeanor was extremely stern. With eyes filled with anger, he directed his attention from me to my husband. In my memories, my father was always gentle. Experiencing him in such an intimidating manner was a first. "Dad, what's going on? I came home after such a long time. And why are you so angry?" Amid various questions swirling in my mind, my father slowly approached me and looked into my eyes.
Divorce that man immediately.
"Huh? Dad? What's going on all of a sudden?"
I didn't want to say something like this, but it's no use. Divorce him quickly.
"Wait, Dad! You can't just say something like that out of nowhere."
Just do it, please. Get a divorce.
His face carried a hint of sadness. I sensed that there was something serious in my father's pained expression. The room fell into a heavy silence, and my mother hurriedly came to the entrance, asking, "What happened?" But my father remained stubbornly silent. In the tense atmosphere, the one who couldn't bear it any longer and spoke up was none other than Ricky.
Wait a minute, Dad. It's too sudden to talk about divorce so abruptly. I don't want to hear your voice. Just leave Natalie and get a divorce.
Huh? What's going on? Dad, I never knew you could be so unreasonable. Ricky, as if mocking, laughed and directed an unpleasant gaze at my father. In response, my father glared at him and uttered in a low voice,
Then take a look at this.
Saying so, he handed a brown envelope to Ricky. As soon as Ricky opened it, his eyes widened in shock. Inside were numerous photos, providing undeniable evidence of Ricky's infidelity. In the face of the silence that followed, my father coldly declared,
Can you still say something after seeing this? Why do you have something like this? I heard from Natalie's mother about Natalie's concerns. When I heard the details, I found it suspicious. You've been telling Natalie about being busy with overtime, right? Huh? What's strange about that? Didn't I tell you that my acquaintance works in the same company as you? He asked around, and here's what he found out. For about a year now, the company strictly enforces no overtime days.
What? My father's words triggered a memory. My father's college friend worked in the same company as my husband. When my father inquired through his friend, he learned that the company strongly promotes a no overtime policy. That's why he found the details I shared with my mom strange. My husband wasn't coming home late due to the overtime or company gatherings. It was all because he was spending time with his affair partner. Certainly, the various excuses he made to be away from home on weekends were probably because of that. The moment I realized this, I felt his emotions freezing up all at once. What's the point of discussing things from the beginning? My husband never had any intention of improving our married life. He prioritized his relationship with his affair partner. I was just a convenient woman for him. Recalling his actions and words so far, anger is simmering within me. Looking at my husband, who paled at the evidence presented by my father, I slowly spoke. Ricky, let's get a divorce.
Huh? What are you talking about, Natalie? Is this some kind of joke? The one I truly love is only you, Natalie.
If that's the case, then why? Why did you refuse to talk to me?
Huh?
If you really loved me, you should have been more supportive, right? For a long time, I couldn't feel loved by you, Ricky.
No, that's not true. It's just how you felt, okay? I genuinely love you.
My husband desperately makes up a lie on the spot. I was beyond angry and dismayed at him. I made it clear to my husband that I no longer felt any attraction to him. Oh, for heaven's sake! I love you? I don't want to hear that lie. If you love me, why did you cheat on me? Why did you refuse to discuss this with me? All because you prioritized your own convenience at the time, right? Because the person you were cheating on me with was more important than me, right?
No, Natalie. Let's talk for a moment. We can talk. We can make things right.
Huh? You have been ignoring me for so long. What do you want to talk about now? For the record, I don't have anything to say to you anymore, and I don't want to understand you. It doesn't matter whether you're serious or not. The fact that you cheated is a problem. This was the first time I became so emotional in front of my husband. He too seemed completely frozen, witnessing my intense tone. With tears welling up in his eyes, he desperately tried to speak. I told him in no uncertain terms, I will never love you again. I don't want anything to do with a scumbag like you. And I don't want to see your face ever again. If you understand, then leave now. Never appear in front of me again.
Natalie.
There's no room for persistence from a jerk like you. Then, my husband collapsed to his knees, finally breaking into tears. My father grabbed his arm and forcefully ushered him out of the house. Later, I contacted my in-laws, and they came to my parents' house. When I explained everything to them, they were left speechless. My father had prepared the divorce papers in advance, and I signed them on the spot. My husband stubbornly resisted, but thanks to my father's stern scolding, I managed to somehow get him to sign. Ricky was taken away by my in-laws, and I returned home alone. I packed up all his stuff at home and sent it to my in-laws. Rumor has it that Ricky has become completely disheartened and is now not even going to work. Because I claimed compensation, My husband's relationship with his affair partner worsened, and now he lives shut in at his parents' house. Moreover, paying compensation to me depleted his savings. It's only a matter of time before he loses his job at the company. It's easy to imagine that his future is not looking bright. But I don't care anymore. I have decided to make choices that will lead to my own happiness this time.
Natalie, how are you? Are you doing well?
On the day I moved near my workplace, my father called. I reassured him that I'm doing well. Dad, don't worry. The move went well and I'm fine.
Well, that's good to know. Sometimes I think about it. I thought maybe you would have been happier if I had kept my mouth shut.
Yeah, that's not true. I'm much happier now because of you.
Natalie, yes. I wish for your happiness above all else.
Thanks to my father, I'm where I am now. The reality is that I'm much happier now than when I was in my married life. From now on, I want to prioritize my own happiness for the sake of my parents who care about me.